All right, welcome to part 2 of your Mech Command training. We've just covered all the basics of the 3 phases of a round: action, damage, recharge, how to use your weapons, how to move, and how to pick up objective tokens. Now, the first mission only uses retrieval tokens, which can be picked up by mechs or support units. But most objective tokens require a support unit to actually pick it up or utilize it. The three most common objective tokens are retrieval tokens, salvage tokens, and uplink points. In this case, the uplink point makes this entire building an uplink building or uplink structure, which we would need to be adjacent to with a support unit, and we need to control it in order to operate this. And in most missions where there's an uplink point, each uplink building that you control during the recharge phase would give you 1 uplink point, which is tracked, just like all mission objectives, in these spaces around the board. So this is your primary objective space. This is where, if the primary mission is to collect, for example, 6 uplink points, I would take one of my cubes and place it on the primary objective space for each uplink point I'm able to earn. A lot of missions have secondary objectives that you'll use to unlock new mechs, get elite weaponry. Usually secondary objectives make you more powerful, while the primary objectives help you get a victory point, and victory points are collected in order to win the game. And the first person to get 6 victory points unlocks the final mission and determines what type of the 7 endings that you are able to achieve. So uplink points need to be operated. That means controlled and operated. So that means I need to have more allied units adjacent to it to control it, and then I need to have a support unit to actually operate it. If I had just a mech here, it wouldn't be able to do anything. If I had a support unit and the enemy had a mech here, I still wouldn't be able to do anything because the control is tied. I need 2 units to his 1. Or I just have to have more units than I have to have 3 if he has 2. And then the support unit actually operates the uplink point. This is the same for salvage tokens. During the recharge phase, if my support unit is adjacent to a controlled salvage token, I would place that salvage token underneath the support unit, and then that is moved along with him. Support units can be moved once per round, and they move up to 4 hexes. So I would go just 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you place one of your cubes to show that it has been moved. Support units can only be attacked by adjacent attacks because they represent platoons of men and multiple vehicles, and they kind of use the terrain to their advantage. So to get up to support units, you have to get up close and personal. This is why scout mechs with double boosters are really useful, so that they can get up close to support units and take them out. Otherwise, it can take a lot of energy to cross the map to interfere with the support unit. All the buildings are destructible, so you can destroy a building just by calling just with a normal attack. You always use say it, pay it, do it whenever you do any sort of action other than regular movement. So if I was going to attack this building, blue would simply say, blue hits building. I would activate one of my weapons and place it on top of the building. During the damage phase, if any building has 15 damage to it, it's removed. Any units on top of the building take 3 falling damage. That is everything you need to know in order to play the first several missions, or most of the missions, in Mech Command RTS. But each mission will introduce some special parameters. Not to spoil this, but like Seize the Capital, the finale of mission of Act 1, actually turns your support units into suicide bombers, and they can move up close to a building and then blow up. That's something that's unique to that mission. And each mission usually has something unique to how it operates. Also, depending on your win-loss record, there's always missions get tougher and tougher for the person with the most victories, as the other factions in the Mech Command world start to ally against them and their potential hegemony. We've covered most of the basics of the game, and actually almost all factors of the game, but there are a few more mechanics we should teach you that come from cards. So the support unit upgrades will turn your support units into a little bit more effective members of your team. The mechs do most of the fighting, support units do most of the objective controlling and salvaging and picking up resource cubes. Each team can field one support upgrade at a time, and both members of the team have to use that one upgrade. So one team may be using rocket thrusters that give your support units an extra movement and gives them aerial boosts so they can go over buildings, go over enemy mechs. Some reinforced armor so they can take more hits. Energy lance, they'll attack any adjacent mech, enemy mech to them, so they can put a little bit of damage, only 1 point, but you can get your support units up and surrounding a mech to give them a little payback. And then advanced training lets you control hexes a little bit easier and control objective tokens, even if you're tied to the enemy, and also increases the amount of uplink points you generate. One of the other aspects to weapons is ammo-based weapons. Ammo-based weapons use a different resource than energy, and this is great for you because you're always going to be, as players, you're always going to be trying to decide between how to allocate your energy. It gets a little bit better as you get more advanced mechs, when you start getting to 10, 12, or 14 energy, but particularly in the beginning when you only have 8, you can only do so much around. So you have to decide whether you're going to spend that on movement, use it on all your offensive power, or save some for your shields, and there's never seems to be quite enough. Ammo-based weapons help overcome that limitation because they will use, instead of energy, they're activated with ammo cubes. Ammo cubes are, how many ammo cubes a mech has is determined in its stat slot. So these starting mechs actually have no ammo, but mini mechs will have anywhere between 3 to 5 ammo cubes. Otherwise, they're activated the same. Blue would call a hit, so blue hits green. I would take one of my ammo cubes, place it on the ammo-based card, and then this is heavy assault rifle, great card, does 4 damage, and I'd place that in his damage dish. Then later on during the recharge phase, the only difference is that while energy comes back to the generator pool, ammo does not come back to your ammo slots. It is permanently discarded. So ammo is a finite source in Mech Command RTS. But you can always return to your base in order to repair and reload. Every recharge phase that you spend in one of the large colored corner bases will repair 2 armor and reload 2 ammo. So you'll get out there and get a lot of burst with your ammo weapons, but at some point you may have to pull back and reload. There's a few more specialty weapons. The law of the specialty weapons are contained in the advanced recon and tactical warfare packs, but the core set does come with a couple that bear mentioning. I think the key special weapons in the core set are energy blades. These are very powerful, they're very energy efficient. They're the most energy efficient weapons in the game, but they do require being adjacent to your attacker, and you would call blue strike screen instead of hit, just to help identify that it is a melee attack. So those are simple. Missiles are a little more complex. So as we mentioned before, you cannot fire at units at a different elevation level than you. So if a unit is up on this building, in order to attack him, I would also have to get up onto this building and have line of sight. And here, actually, this skyscraper is blocking the line of sight. If I was up on this skyscraper, I could only attack units on other skyscrapers. So most maps have 3 levels of play. Fortunately, these indirect weapons like missiles and artillery help get around that. You do not need line of sight to fire a weapon, to fire a missile. Missiles always take ammo, so it's an ammo-based weapon. And I would call out, for example, green hits red. Green missile launch. And then green would pay a ammo cube, place it on the missiles, and then count out up to its range. Almost every weapon in Mech Command RTS has an infinite range, but missiles and artillery have limited range. And I would just count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then say missile strike on red. Its range is 9, so I could actually go up to 9 and just count out each hex so that people know that you're doing the correct amount, and then I can call the hit on the target. What's also nice is that missiles are considered adjacent to whatever they hit, so I may not be able to hit this support unit unless I traveled all the way up to it, which might take a lot of energy, but missiles are not limited by that. So I could call out another hit on, I could call a hit a missile launch. So green missile launch. Pay for the missile and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Missile hit on red. And then I could take the damage and place it into the support unit. Plasma artillery operates somewhat similarly. You would call artillery launch. You still count out the range, but artillery requires energy and its damage is delayed. So in this case, if green was firing artillery, he would say green artillery launch. And then I would count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's the maximum range for this artillery. I would take its 3 damage cubes, or whatever its damage is, and place it on an empty hex. Later, during the damage phase, every unit that is adjacent to that hex would take that amount of damage. So it's a lot of damage. It's a way to pump out sometimes 10, 15 points of damage, but it's a little bit more difficult to utilize as people can move away from it. And as long as they're away from it by the damage phase, it may not have any effect. So those are the primary specialty weapons of Mech Command RTS. There is a lot of other like equipment items, armored plating, improved generators, extra ammo racks. But otherwise, that's everything you need to know to play Mech Command RTS. In the next video, I think we need to show you some live gameplay, so that's what we'll be showing you next.